Hello, welcome to AM Reviews. I'm Angelina Maria, and on tonight's program, we'll be talking about Sisters Season 10, episodes 4 through 6, The Upshaws, the final part, which is Season 7, Katt Williams, Last Report, and Tyler Perry presents Uncle Joe's College Road Trip. Anywho, let's get into the program. First up on the program, we have Sisters, like I said, Season 10, um, episodes 4 through 6. Um, which I'm gonna be honest, we just found out from the last one that she was not like trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. Okay, couple things. Trigger warning because I'm sister's been getting to some dark stuff. So is Uncle Joe a little bit. Like we really finna have a whole bunch of trigger warnings. And then also I do spoilers. So if you have not seen this stuff already, I just kind of talk about what I remember. And I'm also gonna remember scenes, dialogue, and what really happened. So I'm sorry if you didn't watch it. So you might want to. Anywho, sisters you can find on like live TV. If you behind a season, of course you can go on BT Plus, but it's like be behind a season or two, whatever. So you might want to either watch it on like on demand or whatever your live TV is. So may that be Follow, may that be YouTube TV, Hulu. I think Prime has a live, whatever the heck, wherever the heck you can find that. But anywho, so pretty much what we just found out is in episode 4, it comes back after pretty much it's like the aftermath of Danny getting almost assaulted by Officer Green, which if y'all been here for a while, we kind of done been through this journey with Danny. I just think that Courtney is writing it in a different way than Tyler Perry, which I'm kind of feeling. Thank you, Courtney. We'll talk about that more later. Anywho, so we found out that like Danny has just got assaulted by Officer Green. Um, and it becomes a whole thing because Tony tries to come over, I think to get his bag or something. But he tries to come over and then he's like, "You not right. Let me see what I could do to help." And then he ends up like over the span of episodes 4 through 6, because I'm kind of blending them, so sorry. He ends up pretty much like calling for help. He ends up calling for help. And this was like the main kind of story that was going on. That's why I'm talking about it mostly in first. He ends up calling for help. So at first he initially calls for Krisha because he's trying to talk to Danny. Danny answers the door with like a knife and you're like, what the heck wrong with you? And then he notices bruises and he's like, you ain't being yourself, Danny. Like, is you cool? Like, what's going on? And Danny, gives her little excuses, does Danny, deflect, try to not really deal with it. And he like, nah, something ain't right. And then Danny like retreats to the bathroom, which can I just sidebar, hey, Courtney, before this is done, Danny that came into some money, that came into a business, is a third of a partnership of a salon, a spa situation. Which I think they want to turn to a spot. I don't know if they still are, but anywho, Danny got a business. Can we get is she y'all give her a new building? Can we give her a new apartment? That would be nice. That would be nice. Y'all don't mind me. It's a little hot in here. It's a bit of a storm going on and it's March in Chicago. So they're like, oh, you hot. You cold. No, Negro, I'm hot because you Chicago weather's slow. Anywho, sorry about that. Just so I didn't want to look like I was on nothing. Anywho, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Anywho, so back to Danny. So like I said, Danny is just got attacked. That part is true. She got attacked by Officer Green. She ended up fighting him off with a cast iron skillet. And that's when the following episode you see what's that baby name? Tony come in and he's like, what's going on with you? You answered the door with a knife, what's happening? You're not your normal self. Danny decides to retreat. So when she decides to retreat, going to the bathroom, he like, yeah, this definitely not like you. Like, what's going on with you? So he first calls Krisha and he's like, okay, she won't talk to me. I need her to talk to somebody. So he ends up talking to Krisha and he gets Krisha to talk to her. He like, hey, I don't know what's going on with her. She got bruises. She answering doors with knives. Girl hiding in the bathroom. Like she got bad diarrhea. I don't know what's wrong with this baby. So if you could talk to her, whatever it is, it's a higher chance she's gonna talk to you versus me. So see if we can handle that. And sure enough, Krisha ended up talking to her. She's like, you and what the heck wrong with you? This is not a normal reaction. This is not a normal response. Danny sum up. Okay, cool. So then Krisha really doesn't get anywhere. Like Krisha's like were you sexually assaulted? What happened to you? I don't think she said rape. Child, I'm dead $8 short and behind. So I don't think she actually used the word rape, but I know like she was like, "Were you sexually assaulted? Were you attacked? Like what happened?" And Danny's not really giving her any real answers because Danny, Danny feels like she can't. Like especially at this point, like she told him because like with Jonah, if we go back to season 5, which I'm gonna do a whole thing on that, but if we go back to season 5. Danny was able to say to Jonah, "I'm gonna call the police," or "I'm actually go to the police and go to law." But she feel like she can't do that because when she tried that with Officer Green, he was like, "Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters? Bitch, I am the police. Like, what you gonna do to me? You know, like you can't do nothing to me." And I think he's a sergeant. If they kept the original writing, because baby, the writers room, we go from Tyler Perry to the writing room. Now we had Courtney, so we're gonna see how much we pick and choose and how much we want to keep. But anywho, it was like you can't really call the police. I am the police. They're not gonna believe you over me. And then everybody kind of tell you out with me. So that's the whole thing too. So Danny's not feeling comfortable really telling anybody. She really just wants to forget it happened. She don't really want to deal with it. So Christian like, nah, something definitely happened. If I'm beginning to think you were harm to yourself, to others, I'm about to put you on some psych type stuff. What's going on with you? So she like, I'm not. She like, if don't nobody do nothing to me, I won't do nothing out of self-defense. So she like, all right, cool, I'll let you chill. She was like, I ain't gonna press the issue because that's not gonna make you talk to me. That's just gonna make you retreat even more. So I'm gonna let it go. She gave her a sedative to go to sleep. I'll tell you something. Do you know how far gone you're gonna need for the doc, especially a therapist? Like, you need a sedative. Just go to sleep. Like, so she ended up giving her that, talking to Tony like, yeah, I ain't getting nowhere with it. I don't know what's wrong with this baby. I don't know what happened to this baby, but she gone. So then of course you fast forward to him being like, well, she ain't get nowhere. All she did was knock the girl out. So I need to know what's going on because something's really going on with her. So let me go ahead and get her home, girls. And it's like you're gonna talk to somebody, and once again he leaves again, and they didn't really get nowhere. I feel like, and somebody said this. I saw the tweet that somebody said that they was like they feel like if Andy wasn't there, Danny would have talked to Fatima. I'm not gonna hold you. I don't necessarily disagree. And the reason why I feel like this is because we have to think about, once again, tie it to what happened to her last time. When we think about what happened to Danny last time, she tried to go to Fatima, but she know her and Fatima both knew like we not cool like that, so we not gonna be able to jail like that to get to whatever this is, right? And when she saw, that's why Fatima was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like even the secretary Lydia, I think it's her name. She was like, "Fatima, you want to come look at this lady? She not right." And it was like, but no one was familiar enough to do anything. So Danny understood, like, okay, I don't expect Fatima to do nothing. And then of course Lydia was like, at least she said your name, like, so she obviously know you somehow. And it was kind of understanding like we don't have enough to be bonded. Well, in the past few seasons, Danny and Fatima have actually bonded as friends, bonded over their men and things like that. So, and actually chilled and hung out and stuff. So Dana kind of, so it's a stronger tie there. And I feel like had Fatima, that's why Fatima led that when because as you think about it, you would think Andy would have got to the bathroom first and say, "Hey, Danny, we hear what's going on." Danny knew, like Andy knew, like I might not be the boy she, gonna respond to. But when she heard Fatima, she said, "Fatima." Almost like the way she sounded is the way she looked back in season 5 when she was telling Andy what Jonah had did to her, and Andy called in Fatima, and Danny was like, "I don't know, I don't want her. Like, I don't know this lady. I don't want to. This is really embarrassing. This is humiliating. This is like the worst night of my life, and you want me to tell this in front of a woman I barely know, and Karen can't even stand it. Like this your employee, like because that's how Andy kept playing Fatima at the time. Like, oh, this just my employee. This just my employee." And Danny was trying to be like something. No, I thought we was all cool with her. Like at least trying to build something. So when she was like bringing her in, she was like, I definitely don't want the woman that you won't even respect as a homie. Like, won't even respect as a girl you cool with. You won't even respect it as an associate. You keep calling her employee. I want her to hear my deepest, darkest, embarrassing moment at the moment. And when she came in and was like, it sounded like self-defense to me. Do you want me to get my cousin? Like, when she showed Danny, oh no, I got you. Like, I don't have to know you. Because Danny and Fatima work on that, I'm a girl's girl. I ain't got to know you to stand behind you. You my sister. That's just how I see you. So for Danny, that's why Danny looked that way. So when she heard Fatima, it was almost the same sound of way she looked. Like, it was like, Fatima? It was like literally, if you go back to season 5, the way Danny looked like Fatima had offered her water, and Danny had been suffering in the desert, and Fatima just turned to an oasis and they gave her water. Like, it was the craziest freaking thing, because it's like the way she looked, it was crazy, and the way she sounded too, like, Fatima, that's you? Why are you here? And somebody said that in a tweet, and I believe that, like, if Danny would have just talked to Fatima, she probably would have went through, because Fatima really cared. Like, really, not saying Andy didn't. It's just that, first of all, now Andy got to deal with her sister and her mama, kind of too. But she got to deal with her sister, and it's just like Andy has never known how to care for Danny or deal with Danny, because Danny's the strong one. How am I care for my rock when it's my rock? Danny is Andy's rock, not the other way around. So when Danny be falling apart and when Danny be needing a rock, she can't turn to nobody. And the closest person that she felt like she could turn to Sabrina, because Sabrina would let her fall to pieces. But it's like, girl, that was no. And then Karen tried tough love, because she like, you a rock, so you like that. And it's like, nah, bro. Sometimes I need somebody to say it's okay. And that's what Fatima what is for Danny. And Danny had never seen that until Fatima, like, dang, I could turn to her. I could lean on somebody. That's possible. And then Fatima kind of felt that way a little bit with Danny. Not as much. I'm not gonna hold you. Not as much. But she does feel like I can at least halfway, put my arm on the girl's shoulder. But anywho, she tries to have a conversation. And of course, Danny's like, I'm not really having a conversation. And she even kind of like lashes out at Fatima, like, oh, who you think you are, Sabrina? Danny, let's be realistic. You don't want another Sabrina, and we don't want one either. Goodbye. She going on to be with him. Hallelujah. Praise Jesus. No. Sabrina was a horrible friend, and I got a video for that too. Just not right now. Okay? That lady was oh my God, she was abysmal, especially to Danny. She was a horrible freaking friend. I ain't got time for that. Anywho, and speaking of Sabrina, just sidebar, since we on the little baby. Um, Maurice did go check on her and talk to her and things like that, which I could have done without. I could have done without that host. That girl gone. Like, we know y'all wrote her off. Put that baby in a box and put her on the ground, please. Thank you. Like, go on, get that baby fume gone so we can go on. Like, we knew Karen was gone. Like, we know Sabrina gone. Like, come on now, baby. Y'all overdoing it, but y'all trying to do the same. Okay, I guess y'all trying to do the same thing I did with Karen. Like, all of season 9, really, no this to season 9. I promise you, no this. The reason why season 9, I feel like, is not scripturally. Oh, that sounds like I'm talking about the Bible. Okay, script wise, isn't the greatest, is because they spent a nice chunk of it letting you know this is gonna be Karen's last season. Farewell to Karen. Okay, you could have just sent that baby on and had a nice day. And then y'all decided to George O'Malley, Sabrina. Then George O'Malley, Sabrina. George O'Malley did not get a whole season. Chuck, that's another show for another day. Anywho, back to the point. We visited Sabrina and she was still a zucchini. Anyway, back to Danny. That never mind. Back to Danny. They trying to get somewhere, they ain't getting nowhere, they ain't getting nowhere. So then after a while, Tony like, you know what, F it. No. She ended up like telling him like, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone, just going on, going on. And they do eventually leave her alone, because they was like, no, because she gets mad enough to actually say what happened to her. Like, well, not really. But she pretty much tells them like, okay, Dude tried to rape me. He didn't rape me. That's not what happened. Okay. Like, and the thing that I love that Courtney is doing, and I'm not saying love because this is a horrible storyline, but it's a true storyline and it does happen to a lot of people. I'm not even going to just say women, people, but a lot of women, a lot of women, really a lot of women. People, but a lot of women. Anywho, she's like, he tried to rape me, but he didn't. Baby, that's also sexual assault. That's still a crime because you got chokes, you got bruises on your neck, bruises on your body, and you had to beat this man to get him out. So you had to commit self-defense. You had to practically commit another violent crime to get this man out your house. So at the bare minimum, ma'am, he sexually assaulted you, which is still a crime, and stalked you, which is also a crime. So it's like, we gotta at some point, we gotta call the crime. You talking about the crime he didn't do. Okay, he didn't commit rape. He just committed sexual assault and stalking and forceful entry. Because and unlawful entry? Is it forceful or unlawful entry? Which one is gonna be the crime? Because she said no and tried to close the door, and he said, no, I'm in here now. So I'm just trying to y'all help me out. I don't know all the laws. I didn't go to school. I'm not Andy. I didn't go to school for law. So anywho, she ended up snapping on them. They eventually leave. And one thing I will say that shout out to Courtney one more time. No diss to Tyler. I love that he wrote where Fatima tells Zach what happened to Danny. Zach never knew about Jonah because when Tyler Perry, I got another video for it, but anyway, when you get into how Tyler Perry wrote Danny's actual rape, because she was actually raped by Jonah. We can get into it, but she was actually raped by Jonah, and the way it was written like, oh well, it was her fault, night gone wrong, whatever. She talked too much. Versus what Courtney is writing is like, no, she actually had an affair with this man. This man is low-key dealing with fatal attraction. And she's still the victim because she told him exactly what it was, when it was, and where it was, and how it was. And he just decided to be delusional and attack her. Like, actually, even though she's still a victim when it comes to, and when I mean victim, I might mean like, woe is me. I mean like somebody did something to her. Um, she's more of a victim when it comes to Officer Green, even though she technically is a least perfect victim because it's like, well, you did all of this. You was the one doing them conversations. You was the one that stuck with that man. And I'm not blaming Danny, but I'm just saying the part of the reason why we could be like, well, it's like more of a, well, I mean, you did low-key have an affair with that man. But the thing is, because of the fact that the way it's written by Courtney, you can't help but see her as a victim because she told him, hey, I don't want to be with you no more. I want to be with my man. No, get away from me. I don't want this. I said this multiple times. I don't understand why you don't. Because she's saying all these things, it's like the actions he do after that, after all of that, she told you at the grocery store. She told you her dope. She told you in the living room. She told you in between that space in between her dope. She told you no, sir. And I mean, this just I'm just saying, no. How many times she gotta say it's a mistake? But it's like you can see her as less of a victim almost because she actually did entertain this man for so long. But she also told me exactly what it was versus Jonah, the way Tyler Perry wrote it. No diss to him. And I'm gonna get off this in a little bit, but no diss to him. The way you wrote that, you wrote it in the manner was like, this man actually raped her, and all his assaults was way more egregious. But you wrote it where even the castmates was like, well, I mean, she need to stop letting niggas in the house. No! No, that's what y'all got out of that. That's not what you were supposed to get out of that. No, what? She also said, I don't want to do this. That was said. It actually has in the beginning of the episode, no joke. I promise you, I don't care where you find the episode. It's episode 5. It's season 5, episode 7. It says in the beginning, practically, we finna rape Danny, okay? If this is too much for your eyes, go on about your business. You're finna witness sexual violence. It says that at the end of the episode, right after they do the sexual violence, so you're not confused that we did the sexual violence, they sit up there and say, yeah, if you witness anything like what you just, like if you experience anything like what you just witnessed, or you know anybody that experienced anything like what you just witnessed, yeah, you need to call this hotline because, baby, you have been raped. You have been sexually assaulted. Is what they freaking say. And y'all still said the way Tyler Perry wrote, I promise you, y'all still sat up there and said, well, why she let him in the house? Why she going to date with him? Oh my God. This man told me from beginning to end, I'm finna assault this girl, and y'all didn't see it. Meanwhile, Courtney never had to put that mess up. But because the way he wrote it, he did. You know what? This is a whole nother episode. I'm gonna just move on to the shows. Because if I'm already 20 minutes in, if I keep going on this sisters thing with Danny, and the way the difference between assault with women are written, and it's so crazy because I can't even say, oh well, a man wrote then a woman no, both their names just unisex, baby. There was two males, as far as I know, that wrote that. Like, I don't know how Courtney identified. As far as I know, Tyler identifies as male. I've never heard him say anything other than he and him about himself. Um, but as far as I know, they both identify as male, and they wrote the same type of story with something that has nothing to do with men. Like, men are the bad person in this, and the woman is the victim in this. That happens a lot. It happens to men too. I'm not taking that from them. But one wrote it in a way that was like, you literally had all the cards to make this girl a victim, and we never had to go through this again. Versus the other looked at them and was like, why you drop the ball like that, bruh? Because that's what it looked like to me. And I could be wrong. And then he was like, okay, technically she was imperfect then. This girl finna borderline be the problem. But people gonna see her as the victim because the way it's gonna be written. I'm just gonna move on. And that's pretty much what those 3 episodes was about. What happened to Danny? What was going on with Danny? Is Danny gonna tell? And no, she did not. No, she did not. So that's that on that. And I really would be end up going comparing between season 5 and season 10. So I just rather just move on because that was mostly Danny. Just like in season 5, episodes what 7 through 9 was mostly about Danny. It was like moving on to the Upshaws season 7 because we 20 minutes in, over 20 minutes in. So okay, so the Upshaws ended up doing a final season, which they stopped calling them seasons. I think after about 2 or 3, and start calling them parts. Upshaws been going on. We in 26. Upshaws been going actually 7 years because I think it came out in 19, which is why I don't know why they stuck. That ain't my business. I just watched the show. I ain't got to know why they do what they do. So anywho, they did the final part of the Upshots, which is season 7. Excuse me. And they pretty much Regina at this point in time is trying to run for, I want to say, she's trying to run for office. I think mayor, if I'm correct. Y'all, I'm so sorry for wiping my sweat. It is really hot. Chicago has slow weather, and I live in a building that got a radiator where I do not control the heat, and it's given I do other stuff, and I'm trying to let that be known. I don't. I'm sorry. Anywho, so Virginia trying to run for office, and within the first like episode, I think it comes out that she did like blackface. Like, so she was supposed to be doing like a protest, right? And since she was supposed to be doing like a protest, she ended up protesting some racist stuff and was like, let's do blackface. No, let's not do blackface. But she did blackface in college, and I think the photo resurfaced or it came out or whatever. And she thought that it was gonna hurt her campaign, and it did because she ran her mouth, and then she ran her mouth to Benny. Which, can I just say something? I love Mike Epps. I think he a funny comedian, and I talked about him. I think on the last episode. Anywho, um, Benny Upshaw though, I've never, okay, outside of some Tyler Perry characters. I love you, Tyler, but I just love you. I just want you to know I love you, and I've been loving you since I was 6, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. Ain't no but. I love you. Um, Outside of some Tyler Perry characters, not one redeeming characteristic. And it's like, as you watch him, it's like Regina, because Regina's character is actually smart, like really, really smart woman. But I was like, no, I know this is fiction and I know it's characters, but it make you want to think because women do this in real life, people, period. But women do this in real life, and you be like, well, what the penis hitting for? Because you can't be this stupid just because he ain't that pretty. So I don't, and I'm looking at him not be that smart. I'm listening to him not be that smart. Looking at him not be that pretty. So I'm confused. It got to be how that bat swing because I don't understand why you dealing with a man that got you looking this stupid. And Regina, he Benny Upshaw ain't got a redeeming quality, not a redeeming factor. I was like, this, and any and every, he was purposefully like, oh, I sabotage my wife. For what? You dumb dumb. Whatever she get, you get legally because you married to her. And walks in your house when she walks in your house. So why would you sabotage her if she can go further than you? I don't understand that. For the sake of what? To say you a man? Like, I don't understand. That Negro had, like, Benny Upshaw does get on my nerve, but this season he was like, he told homeboy she was, the dude he was working for the vans to save him cleaning some vans. Now you working on a few vans. Now this woman could be mayor, got keys to the whole city. Now you want to sit up there because you want to clean a few vans or do handle a few vans. You a sabotage your name. Meanwhile, this woman run the city. Run the city. Oh my god! Like he was just doing. I, then dude ended up going against her, and of course, dude was willing to do. I can't think of dude name, but I can see his face. His dude he was doing the business for the doing the vans for. He ends up running against her. Okay, cool. So now Regina's like, all right, you got to play dirty with dirty. At the same time, just sidebar. Wanda Sykes' character, Lucretia, her and her husband. I'm gonna be honest. Wives, women, I can't tell you how to be with your man. Like I can't tell you how to be with your mate because everybody don't want no man. So let me not say that. But I can't tell you how to be with your mate. But do not be Lucretia and her partner and her mate because she talked to that man, Cash. She called him a dumbass and a bitch. And I was like, let me tell you something. If somebody halfway like you, F love, like you, let me tell you what the few things they will never say to you. They will not say things that's so out of pocket to you. And calling you out your name is gonna be harder for them to do. I'm speaking from experience. Because when you really love somebody halfway like, you gonna handle them with a level of care because you gonna want them to handle you with a level of care. And because I care about you and I like you, he like, bro, can you not talk to me cash crazy? She like, I didn't talk to you cash crazy. But you crying like a little bitch, so I ain't say that though. Like, what? This woman was, I was like, yeah, he need a new wife. He need a new wife. Because, ma'am, no. Because if he called you one back, you're gonna be ready to fight. And then of course, one thing I did love this season is all three of the Kims of the 90s was on there. You had Kim Fields, which of course is Regina. You had Kim Coles, which was she was the college friend who like encouraged him to put the blackface on. And you have Kim Whitley who plays Kim Fields' big sister. I love it to have Kim, and Kim of the Black Kims of comedy, especially of the 90s of my childhood anywho. So I loved it. But anywho, so since we're talking about Kim Whitley, the dude who Kim Fields was like running against, but Regina was running against, I really can't think of buddy name, and it's getting on my nerve because I can see his face. Um, She ended up being like, I need to get some dirt on him. How do I get some dirt on him? So mind you, she sent her sister to go, sleep with dude. Well, she well, she did. She sent her sister to sleep with dude knowing her sister was gonna sleep with dude, but the sister didn't know. Even though the sister knew. When she saw him, she knew, but she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get over on my sister." She was like, "No, I sent you in to do that. I practically prostituted you, pimped you out." Now give my intel, and she didn't give her intel. She didn't help out at all, or what have you. And I'm kind of mad because I'm a little behind, so I'm trying to remember the day. No, she ended up winning. I think she won. Yes, she ended up winning because it was like the kind of like the end of everything because like, and he had to end up selling the shop or what have you. So he's going to end up selling the shop. The son is going to be Benny Jr. is going to be with the daughter, so he's gonna be kind of with her, and he's gonna take his partner. Um, what's that oldest baby? Aaliyah. Aaliyah's the oldest. Aaliyah's gonna end up going, I think, with the brother. Oh my gosh, that got done. What's that baby name? With he didn't have, but her name is it Gabby Douglas? What's her name? Her name is Gabby or Gabrielle. She was on Black Ladies Get Show. I don't want to mess her name up. I can see her face too. I'm really doing bad. Um, but anywho, what is the name of that baby? That baby he had out of wedlock. I can't think right now. These people name is not doing well tonight. So sorry. Um, anywho, he dude got into racing, got into trouble. That's usual. End up putting the baby out. The baby ended up running around, and then of course, like I said, got into racing and ended up doing something with it. So he gone on. The mama did marry the Asian man, and then I'm trying to think. I'm really trying to think. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Oh, and then of course Maya's like 10. She ain't gonna do nothing too tough. So it was what it was. Anywho, that was the season 7 of the Upshaws. I feel like that was like the worst review ever, and I'm really sorry for this. This is really crazy. Uh, um, next up on the program we have Katt Williams' last report. So this was Katt Williams' like latest special or what have you. So since this was his latest special, one thing I will say, he does talk about Diddy, which he predicted and which he called out. But he doesn't spend his whole special talking about Diddy. I think it's like 55 minutes or something like that. He talked about Diddy probably about 25, 30 minutes into it. Talks about Diddy for about 5 minutes and he let it go. And he pretty much said, I'm not going to be scared of Diddy for 4 years. What he mostly talked about was like his kind of like journey through Hollywood and like which is kind of what Mike Epps did. Like Mike Epps was pretty much saying like, I didn't think I could make it. Like I shouldn't actually be the person that made it. So I know if I made it, you can. While Katt Williams was pretty much telling people like, y'all do a good job. Y'all should be proud of yourselves. Congratulate yourselves. And I'm gonna tell y'all doing a good job and be proud of yourselves. And if I could do it, you could do it. And it was funny because both specials was like really, really inspirational and really, really into um lifting up the spirits and things like that. And that's really what Katt Williams did. Of course, Katt Williams was extremely funny. Um and like I said, he did talk about Diddy for a little bit and he talked about like different professions, what people was doing, different ethnicities, but he was mostly on some like, if you believe you could do it, you could do it. Like if you want to be me, you could be me. If you want to be a creative, you could be a creative. Whatever you want to do, you could do it. Just be your best at it and just keep going forward and don't let nobody tell you that you can't because trust me, I'm telling you, you can. So that was like really pretty much inspirational. Like I said, I'm not trying to diss Katt. Some of the stuff I'm a little behind on, so I don't fully remember entirely. So sorry. But I don't remember him saying nothing to make me be like, oh my gosh, let me go ahead and it stood out. Probably if I rewatch it, it would. But yeah. But I've had to rate it. Oh, I might as well rate the Upshaws too. I've had to rate the Upshaws now from what I remember about it. This is so horrible. This is a horrible episode. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Anywho, I've had to rate the Upshaws, going back to them for just a second. I do think it's a really good watch. It's just that I watched it a little while ago and don't fully remember. Um, but if I had to rate it, I would definitely give it a 7 out of 10. It was a really good watch. Like if you already an Upshaws fan, I think it gave a nice close. One thing I believe in, if you're gonna give me a show, give me a nice close. Any saga of any kind, saga series, give me a nice close. I don't care. Wrap it up with a bow so I can say, all right, that was that on that. And I feel like the Upshaws did a good job at that. They made you could be at peace with everything, which I really like. But back to Katt Williams, if I had to rate that, I would possibly also give that a 7 out of 10, only because, like I said, one, I said it a second ago, and then two, I don't recall him saying something that made me be like, oh my gosh. Like I said, he talked about Diddy, and I do love that he did not spend his special on Diddy. It was not finally talking about Diddy. Like, he talked about a lot of stuff, which what Katt Williams do. He talked about stuff in politics. He talked about stuff in the world. He talked about, like, his own journey and, like, people being proud of themselves and stuff like that. And then, like, telling people to go forth. So it was very inspirational, which is, in my opinion, a little bit different than his special. I've been listening to Katt Williams do specials. My God, about almost 25 years. His first special was what? We in 26. 0203? So almost what, 24, 23 years, almost 25 years. So for God, I'm old. My God. Anywho, I've been listening to this man do specials for over 20 years. So I've never heard him be this kind of like influential and inspirational, which I really did appreciate that he did on here. So, um, if I had to rate Katt Williams' last report, I would I'd probably give it 8 out of 10. But I don't know if this is gonna be his last special. I don't know if he just saying like just in case, because this man want to run us into war for no reason, or I don't know. But not least, up on the program, we have Uncle Joe. Well, Tyler Perry presents, or Tyler, yeah, no, Tyler Perry presents, or Tyler Perry's. I don't know how it changes. Tyler Perry presents, or Tyler Perry's Uncle Joe's College Road Trip. I'm not gonna hold you. You can find this on Netflix. Let me tell you where you can find everything real quick before I get into this. Like I said, Sistas, you can find on wherever your live TV is on demand. The Upshaws you can find on Netflix. Katt Williams you can find on Netflix. Katt Williams Last Report you can find on Netflix. And Tyler Perry's, well, I'm just saying Uncle Joe's College Road Trip you can also find on Netflix. I'm gonna say this. It is definitely rated R. And it need to be rated lowercase x. I will say that for sure, for sure. Because there's a lot of profanity, more than what you're probably used to. There's a lot of sex. Well, I ain't gonna say it's a lot of sex. It is graphic sex when we get there, though. It is very graphic. Um, and then not only that, it does have a lot of historical value. I'm gonna just say this. As a black person that I'm from the Midwest, I'm from Chicago to be very specific, and that's actually where I reside at the moment. I've lived in the South. I lived in Arkansas and I lived in Georgia. So I've lived in the South for sure. And as a person that spent 10 years in the South, after growing up in the Midwest, in the North, in Chicago, to be very specific, that you know there's a bit of a difference. There are certain things as a black person that, like, people love to talk about Tyler Perry and how he do wild stuff and this, that, and the third. Okay, I might have liked all Tyler Perry's wild scenes, but I will say this is one of the movies that I appreciated of Tyler Perry's in a very long time. I have not appreciated a Tyler Perry movie in a minute, if I'm being 100% honest. I think one of the last movies I truly appreciated by Tyler Perry was either um probably A Family That Prays, because I think that came after I Could Do Better by Myself. Whichever one came after, because I think they both came out in '09. Bro, we in 2026. What you mean? I have not truly. Well, nope. I love Jazz Man Blues, but I feel like that's an anomaly. I need to see the manuscript of that movie. And I need to see who owned the IP of that movie. Okay? No diss to Tyler. But then Divorce in the Black came out and I was like, man, we can talk about some stuff. No diss. Because I don't think there's really any Tyler Perry project I haven't seen. So I'm not one of the people that's like, oh, I'm talking to hate. No, I'm inspired by Tyler Perry. I love Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry. I've been watching this man for 26 years. So I have no shade at all when it comes to him. Nothing but all when it comes to him. Um, and there are things that I would do different. That's me, but that ain't got nothing to do with him. And I have to respect what he did and what he does and what he brings. And I appreciate him for that. So thank you. But back to this film in particular. Like I said, I have not appreciated a Tyler Perry film outside of maybe a Jazz Man's Blues, outside of for sure a Jazz Man's Blues in almost 15 years. And I know, actually, that would be 17 years if it's '09. Well, 16, 17. That's why I'm just going to say 15 years because I'm going to give a little grace. This movie is where Uncle Joe, who is the brother to Medea, but the father to Tyler Perry character Brian, right? He's the father to him. So Brian has two kids. His daughter, who was ain't gonna get into that. Well, yes, I am. She was originally played. Her name is Tiffany. She was the reason why her name is Tiffany is because she was played by Tiffany Evans, the girl that made Promise Ring with Sierra way back in the day. Yeah, that's how long I've been watching Tyler Perry movies. Yeah, and her mama bust in and did that song like on The Color Purple, but she didn't do that exact song. Anyway, so and then they had a son. I think the son was BJ because he's Brian Jr. Cool. So of course Tiffany had already been to college. That's what she get her shine comes from Boo. Because if you pay attention, that's when Medea is dealing with Tiffany and she's acting out while in college. That's where you get Boo and Boo 2, which also was kind of like him clapping back at what's that baby name? Chris Rock. Chris Rock was making jokes and he was like, oh, okay. You make jokes, I make money. I'm sorry. Never mind. Exception. Anyway, so fast forward to now, it's like, okay, well, the son's gonna finally go to college. BJ's gonna go to college. And he Brian's character, which is Tyler Perry's character, played by Tyler character, who is played by Tyler Perry. And when you see him, not no makeup, no nothing. And he's like, I think my son's out of, I don't want to say he thinks his son is out of touch with reality, but he thinks his son is slightly out of touch with reality and definitely disconnected from the culture. And it's like, I don't raise my son's, I don't want to say so privileged, but I'm borderline raised this boy so privileged. He does not know he's black. He don't know he in the South. And he don't know what it's like for black people, period, in this country. No, black people in the South because of the way I had raised him. I need to so now I need to kind of I need to kind of fix what I did. You know, I need to show him his connection to his culture and things like that. So of course, Brian, who's he's a gentle parent. He's like, Medea, will you do it? Like he trying to get people to do it or trying to get his son because his son is taking out white folks. I think one of them said N-word, probably. I don't know. But he like disconnected. So he sits up there and he's like, um, I need him to go on this college trip because he wanted to go to HBCU, right? Because he didn't see the point of Morehouse and he didn't see the point of Clark, Atlanta, HBCUs and things like that. He didn't see the point of that. So I think the boy called him racist if my memory serves right, which is the I don't know what you raised. You raised a wigger, okay? That you raised an epitome of a wigger. Anywho, so he's like, he need to get connected with the culture. So Joe decides to take him because I think Medea was gonna take him and then couldn't, and then she was like, let Joe take him. Which I really appreciated this because it shows shine on Joe. Because people love to bag on Tyler Perry, like, oh, you wore a dress, you did okay, but so did Richard Pryor. So did Jamie Foxx. So did what's that baby name? Who God dog it. So did Martin Lawrence. Martin Lawrence wore a few of them. So did Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy, half the cast he came up with wore a dress. So we could some of y'all greatest comedians put on a dress. That was not abnormal. And some we story for another day because I ain't got time to go through the arts with you people. Anyway, back to my point. So I do like to see that they, because like I said, they bag on Tyler Perry. Oh, he always be wearing a dress, but this time we get to see him in makeup, and he's a man. Okay, all right. So anywho, he decides to take him from if you know anything about the states, he has to go from Georgia, which is actually a lot of people don't know this, is actually southeast of the country. So a portion of it is actually East Coast. So because it's Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. Am I right? Yes. What's next to Louisiana? It got to be Is it Oklahoma going into Texas? Because if we do Oklahoma, Nevada, Texas. Nope. Texas, Texas. Well, Oklahoma, Texas, Nevada, California. There we go. I might be a little off, but so we're going from Georgia. I don't think they went into Florida, but if just to show you, like Georgia is like right here, then there's Florida. But if we're going straight, he would go mostly like this to get to California, which is like over here. So almost in a J. So or an L kind of. So we going Georgia, which underneath Florida, but Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, which I think they cut through Arkansas, but they ain't have to. They cut through Arkansas. You went up north for no reason. But I digress. What I say? Mississippi, Louisiana. It should be like Oklahoma going into Texas. From Texas, you go Nevada, Arizona, Nevada. No, Nevada, Arizona, California. Like that. I might be a little off. Y'all might have to check me. Anywho, I've driven through there, but baby, that was years ago. So child don't. Anywho, so he takes him from pretty much Georgia to California to show him his culture and his history. So as he does these things, like I said, you go from Georgia to Alabama. Now there really wasn't much in Alabama, but Ku Klux Klan. I don't even want to show you that. And he was like, "What's that?" And it's like cotton. It's cotton. Yeah, and that still exists. And I'm speaking as a person who knows people that picked cotton. I know people that picked cotton. I'm in my 30s. They picked cotton in the 80s and 90s. I've seen the cotton field with my own eyes. Just tell you what I know. People be talking about this far removed. No, it ain't. It's up the street if you go up there. That's like him. He went to Georgia and went on a state or two over and was like, what's that? Cotton field. And he made him pick it. He said, pick the cotton. But to show him how hard of a plant that is to pick, because it is. It's hard to pull that cotton plant out of that, like pretty much dried bud that can cut you and does cut you. It's like ripping petals off of rose, but worse. You have to be careful. You're gonna be cut up and bleeding, and that's how it was. But I digress, because y'all said that's far away from us. Okay. Anywho, so as he progresses, he goes from Alabama to Mississippi. Now, like I said earlier in this episode, I am from Chicago, Illinois. I live in Chicago, Illinois. When he took that baby to Mississippi and he sat him in front of that creek, under that in front of that murky, muddy water, I knew exactly what that creek was because once again, I'm from Chicago, Illinois. And he was like, "What's the point of me being in front of this creek?" Because he was taking pictures of him in front of somewhat of his history and his culture. Well, let me not say culture, but definitely history, and that can help shape your culture. And he was like, "Why you got me in front of this?" That's why they pulled up Emmett Till body, baby. But see, you don't even know who Emmett Till is. Because mind you, BJ O'Brien Jr. is a Gen Z. So he don't even know who Emmett Till is. Because they don't teach that. I had to learn that in school. They had to teach Emmett Till. My mama taught me who that boy was, and then I went to school and had to learn who he was. That was part of my curriculum to learn who he is. No, you don't know him. These babies don't know. I ain't never heard of an Emmett or a Till. Don't know what that is. They don't know what a Till is or Emmett. What's that? I don't know. That's a whole human being. And when he said, and that put tears in my eyes because in real life, and from my real life, my real experience, they exhumed his body at his 50-year mark. I was in the 5th grade, which means that this is after my mama taught me who Emmett Till was. I had to see it all across the news. And then a couple years later, I had to learn all about that boy. How well do you think my sleep pattern was as a kid? As somebody that was around about his age when I learned about him. I was 11 when I started learning about him. They made sure I knew who that boy was from 11 to 14. You gonna know who this boy is. For 3 years straight, off and on, y'all teaching me about this boy and made sure he kept popping up. He was 14 when he died. When he was lynched. How well do you think my sleep was? It didn't matter that I was a girl. It mattered I was black. It was matter that he from Chicago like me. It mattered that an adult lied on him. And now he lost his life. Okay. So then he takes him to a hotel. No, I jumped the gun. I jumped the gun because you got to go Alabama, Mississippi. So after they leave Georgia, they go into Alabama. They go to I lie. Oh, I'm so disrespectful. I said ain't nothing in Alabama. Oh my God, I forgot. So they go to the hotel and they're like, everything used. What's going on in this room? He took a picture of him in the room. So when he took a picture of him, oh, like, what the heck going on up here? Everything used. We gotta leave by a certain time. It's weird. He didn't know he was in Montgomery, Alabama. He didn't know he was in a hotel in which Martin Luther King got shot. Well, he ain't died there, but I want to keep living. So they actually didn't die. They actually died in the hospital after they suffocated him. Let that be that on that. That's what they say. I don't know how true it is. They say the boy, they no disrespect to Martin Luther King, they say he didn't die by that gunshot wound. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to edit that out. I probably won't. Anyway, so now, like I said, back to back to Mississippi with Emmett Till, and he's learning these things, right? Because at first he wasn't knowing. He like, why am I taking all these random pictures? But if you know anything as a black person, I'm not even gonna say just a black person. This is why I say this is a film I feel like everybody should watch. Yes, it got the ridiculousness of Uncle Joe. Yes, it got the crazy cousin. Yes, it got the graphic sex scene. Yes, it has all of these things. And yes, it's made by Tyler Perry. But one thing that he made sure to make a point in is the point of this film is to tell this history. People looked at Sinners and got mad. Ryan Coogler had to use fiction and fantasy and make believe to tell the truth. Tyler Perry had to do the same thing. I'm finna tell y'all a hard truth, but if I tell you a hard truth and I don't serve up ridiculousness and craziness and goofiness and silliness, you're not gonna hear it. It's not gonna be palatable to you. I need to feed you this hard truth, but I gotta give you this bullshit too. And that's just the best way to put it. Tyler Perry gave a hard truth in a film, but he knew if he would have gave just a raw hard truth, that wouldn't have made it to Netflix. Netflix would have turned that down. Netflix would have said, "Nah, man, get rid of that. We're not putting that up there." No, no. Tyler Perry is a billionaire. Netflix probably is a trillionaire. To my point, like, what? Tyler Perry ain't got enough to tell them Negroes nothing. No disrespect to Tyler. He just don't. He can have some say. But if he wouldn't have put all that ridiculousness that he put in that film, he wouldn't have been able to get his message across. And the point was, let me get the message across. Anywho, back to. So like I said, so you go from Mississippi to Louisiana, and he like showing him all these places, right? And he ended up going to a whorehouse or whatever. And of course that was a little bit for Uncle Joe and just, craziness. Um, but just to say that Miss Pat and Just Nisha, and who are female comedians, by the way. Um, I think Just Nisha from Chicago. I don't want to be claiming nobody. If she is, shout out to you, sis. And then Miss Pat has the Miss Pat show on BT Plus, which I talked about in the previous episode, actually. So once again, shout out to you as well, sis. Anywho, so they like, had a little scene, and that is like the graphic sex scene. So if you like not into it, just skip. And then this is where he meets the homegirl from Beauty and the Black, which is also gonna be found on Netflix and gonna come back out, actually. So he gets with her, he ended up like, I think she ended up giving him head eventually, but she was on the run. So with her on the run from these people, they end up like taking her and stuff like that. And like even the boy was so slow, he had to use the bathroom. Before they end up meeting her, he had to use the bathroom. And he don't know nothing about sundown towns. And there are some people that still don't know about sundown towns. Because growing up, I never knew what a sundown town was. When I moved to the South, guess what I learned about? Sundown towns. There's so many in the Midwest, by the way. So you ain't safe nowhere in this country. All the states got sundown towns, boo. Okay. At least one. Okay. Anywho, most of them anyway. Um, but he didn't know what a sundown town was, and the baby decided to use the bathroom, which like gives like a Matrix fight scene. It's kind of crazy. Um, and he ended up going to the bathroom not only in a sundown town, but in a town where the biker gang clearly had the Confederate flag, which he was not a warning for him. And then all these white people, and clearly MAGA-esque, get up persona, embodiment, the whole nine. And he was like, I just gotta go to the bathroom. And it's like, you finna get us killed. You finna get us lynched. Because y'all brought that back in 2025. That's crazy. Anyway, so he doesn't understand that. His granddad teaches him that. And then, of course, like I say, he ends up going to the whorehouse. And by hanging out with her and talking to her, he ends up realizing she ends up educating him on like, this is this, this is that, this is this. And he was like, he was in front of historical libraries. He, like I said, he was in the hotel room where Martin Luther King was shot. He was in front of the creek where Emmett Till body was pulled up. He was in front of a cotton plant. Well, I ain't gonna necessarily plantation, but a cotton field. Like he was at all these historical places that speaks to the history of a portion. I'm not gonna say the history of Black people in this country. A portion of the history of Black people in this country, because I'm kind of tired of the narrative of that's all our history is that we were slaves. Like there was also other stuff too. So, but I digress. And he just didn't. He was just unaware because he was so detached from the culture. Because his dad wanted to give him a life of luxury to the point where it was like, and I feel like sometimes Black people do this. There's nothing wrong with giving your children a life of luxury, but they still need to know that when they walk out your door, they 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 don't see luxury when they see your kid. They don't. They just don't. And your kid need to be aware of that because if they are not, they can die. especially a Black child. Like that's life or death. That boy really went into a sundown town. He really went into a bar full of pretty much the Klan and could have lost his life, could have got his granddaddy killed. Like you could have did all of that because you don't know that when you walk out the door, you're not just BJ. You don't get that luxury. And that's the thing that Tyler Perry was trying to teach. I feel like in this film that we can't be so far removed from history that's only a few decades old, bro. Like Martin Luther King died in the 60s. There are people that are still alive. His kids are still alive. His homeboy just died. His homeboy, his right hand man that was with him, just got put in the ground a little over a week ago. So I'm just saying, like, it's not like what he did happened 200 years ago, 100 years ago. They put them photos in black and white for you to make you think. Emmett Till died months before my father, the person who left testicle I came out of. Literally months before. Like it's a lot of stuff we could talk about that's only 50 years old, 60 years old. That's not a long time. Donald, the felon with all the man with the dozens of felons that's in the White House is older than what I'm talking about. And y'all kept voting him in office. Like I said, it's been probably about 15 years since I truly appreciated a Tyler Perry movie. Outside of God dog it, Jazzman Blues. 6 Triple 8 I did enjoy. I think it was cool. But outside of maybe like them two, I loved it because truly his like 6 Triple 8 talked about, some women, like almost like hidden figures. It's not like but outside of maybe like that, like that what because he tried to drive a point. Ain't no tried, he did drive a point. And if you get off I don't like Tyler Perry, he do all this weird stuff, this scene wild, this movie raunchy. To a certain degree, Tyler Perry had to make this film like them this to get it out. Just like how I know some people gonna be mad. I said it earlier in the episode, but I'm saying it again. Just like how kind of Ryan Coogler had to use fantasy, fiction, and make believe to tell a true story and get out a hard truth. Because if you would have took them elements out that film, if you would have took them out, the film would have been made, babe. They would have looked at screenplay. Who would have produced it? And I'm not taking nothing from Ryan Coogler and his ability, and I'm not taking nothing from Tyler Perry and his ability. But y'all still, at the end of the day, had to turn to some white human being and say, "I'm going to get this black story out." So there had to be a level of fiction for them to be comfortable with to say this is fantasy. Because if you put too much truth, they want to tell you delusional. They want to tell you crazy. They want to tell you angry. They want to tell you this, that, and the third. But they don't want to tell you. Well, God dog, if this much similarity and what these two stories is talking about, they just used a different tactic and a different approach to get the story out. Maybe it might be something to the story. Just maybe. It's a possibility. Anywho, I'm done with that. I'm done with that. This episode not going long enough between sisters. Katt Williams, you really got me on one this goddamn episode between sister. That's Courtney mostly. Well, no, Tyler Perry season 5. Anywho, thank you so much. This has been AM Reviews. This has gone on long enough. Like I said, on this week's program, on this episode program, we talked about Sistas season 10, episode 4 through 6, the Upshaws, which was the final season, part 7. We talked about Katt Williams, The Last Reports, and Uncle Joe's college road trip. Like I said, Sistas can be found pretty much on like wherever your live cable is or anything on demand unless you want to rent it or something. Or buy it. I don't know. That's your business, child. And then the Upshaws, Katt Williams' Last Report, as well as Uncontrolled Scholarship, can all be found on Netflix. Once again, I've been Angelina Maria. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And this has been AM Reviews. Okay, bye.